video, that means that people will be able to hear you. So if you want, you can mute it for now. Naziha, are you on?
If your mic is off, she won't be able to hear you.
Yeah, I just turned it off, but I see her name.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum, Noha. It's perfect to have you with us.
حبيبتي جزاك الله خير بارك الله فيك.
Alhamdulillah, ربنا يخليك يا رب. ربنا يخليك with
I'm
us.
going to go ahead and put on my headset, so hopefully it will be clearer, inshallah. How are you doing?
Alhamdulillah, we did a practice run yesterday and it worked out perfectly.
Inshallah. Is this your first time doing Zoom Facebook Live?
First time doing Zoom with Facebook Live.
There's always the first time.
Yeah, I did a webinar, but I like Zoom better than a webinar.
ليش الويبينار عملتيه على ايش؟
I did a webinar on Giving Tuesday. I was about to we talked about giving and leadership and gratitude.
Yeah, but what medium did you use? هذا قصدي.
I used the Zoom webinar.
Okay, so yeah, okay, same thing يعني. Okay.
Yeah, بس ما شفتش حد. You only see yourself talking.
Yeah.
I
know.
like seeing people.
انت زيي بس احنا هلا احتمال this is what's gonna happen too in this one.
Okay.
يعني
What I'm seeing this right.
okay.
USA. Okay, and then Sabil pound USA. This is the Wi-Fi. Yeah.
Oh, is it? Do I remove this part? Do you know if it's just this part?
Yeah.
Should I remove this?
But do you need to connect to your computer?
Oh, I was going to join the meeting so that
Ah.
I could show you how we're going to.
To do it?
Yes, transfer it. I guess you don't have to.
No. I'll send it to you. Okay, well, here's Victoria.
Oh, let me go back.
She's assistant.
Hi.
Hi, Victoria.
So we're working together.
Nice to meet you, Victoria.
Nice to meet you. Noha.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, Noha. And here's Karima. Karima.
Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, good to see you.
Good to see you all.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Okay.
Summer, it's not really, now in the small screen, you can't see any of the logo. I'm sorry.
No, but I can see it. I can see it. I
Okay.
can see it.
Okay, perfect. I'm gonna practice some stuff on the chat right now.
Okay.
On it.
Oh, Shireen Othman is joining.
Mhm.
Okay, so ladies, we have 4 minutes. You look beautiful, Karima.
Thank you. Okay, but I want to switch this. I want to put this up here. No, I don't. I want to put that down here. I've got 2 screens and I'm always trying to figure out where I'm looking. Because if I put the information on the top screen and I read off the top screen, I'm not looking down. So that's supposed to be better for everybody.
A little more to the side.
Naziha was able to get in.
The Tony Robbins, we were in the other
Have
room.
we, okay, I've got the Facebook up there so I can monitor the Facebook. Get the chat.
Okay.
So Karima,
Facebook.
you're just gonna kind of like
I'm gonna
yani-
watch the chats on both, write down
Yeah.
the questions and then give them to you at the last 10 minutes.
Okay, inshallah.
That's the plan. That's the plan.
Inshallah, inshallah. I don't know how long my my presentation is going to be, but if I finish early, we're just gonna do more questions and answers.
Right, exactly. And plus yours is eaten up a little bit by the introduction.
Okay. So we're doing an introduction in the
Well,
beginning.
we'll introduce Sabil, I'll introduce you. It's about, I
Okay.
time myself, it's about 5 minutes. But
Okay.
if we start a little bit late, then, you know,
Okay.
then
Khair,
that's even different.
khair.
Here.
So, Victoria, if I'm looking up like this, is it really obvious? Because I'm going to read.
I am not looking at the screen just yet because we're trying to
Okay.
book. So I have the Sabil page open. The only thing is I'm trying to see live on Workplace by Facebook. Live on Facebook. Okay, choose where you want to post. Share on page and manage. Sabil.
Assalamu alaikum.
Okay.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Preparing live stream. Here we go.
Okay.
Welcome to a clear and okay. I'm just adjusting the stream keys. Camera.
I'm on the page, waiting for the live stream to open. Looks like.
We can hear you quite well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi,
It's just
Samar.
delayed.
It's delayed, but we're online.
Okay, yes, it is a delete.
Okay, the title is required.
Mental health wellness.
Mental health what?
Wellness.
Say something? Welcome.
Yeah, welcome.
So we're about to go live.
Okay. Oh, it's 11 o'clock.
Perfect. Yes. Okay. There you are. There we are.
Okay.
We're just a little delayed.
Yeah, we can't. Okay, we're live, Karima, on Facebook.
Right, I'm going over just to double check it.
Okay, it's 11 o'clock.
And then whenever we want to.
Okay, there we go. I see you. I'm watching live. I've just got to click the live so that I also have the comments. Oh my goodness. All right.
What can I do? Just give me some idea.
Oh,
Maybe I have a lot of.
I'm going to have feedback if I do that. Hang on a second. Technical difficulties. Let me see if I can mute Facebook. There. Do you hear? There. Yeah, that's better. All right, everyone. I'll be able now to watch all of you. My name is Karima Fadagi, and it's my pleasure to host Sabil's wellness program today. We are going to hear from 3 speakers. The plan is 45 minutes per speaker. And at the end of 45 minutes, I'll do 10 minutes of questions and answers. And I would prefer housekeeping that everyone keep their mics off. Type your questions in either the comment section on Facebook or in the chat on your Zoom. And then I will put them all together and I will propose them to the end. It will be anonymous. Okay. And if anybody has a special request and doesn't even want to be on the chat, I will put in the chat my personal phone number and you can text message me. But everything will remain anonymous, all our questions today. Okay, so allow me to introduce to you our first speaker. Her name is, oh wait, first I want to talk about Sabil. I'm getting so anxious. All right, so Sabil has been a 501 nonprofit health and human service organization founded in Irvine in 2010 to provide services to the underserved population of Orange County. They believe that every human being has the right to live in dignity as a full contributing member of society. Their vision is a world where communities stand together and everyone's basic needs are satisfied. So the mission statement of Sabil is to alleviate our neighbors' hardship through tough, life-changing circumstances and empowering them to be self-sufficient. And what could be tougher than what we're going through right now? So the approach is to utilize the needs of their clients, engage them in community service, volunteer work to heal our hearts from the hardships, and to encourage clients to build self-confidence and empower clients by training them to be self-sufficient. Sabil also has a mental health program in-house and partners with ICMA Relief to offer support services, and they serve up to 45 clients each month at their facility. I'd also like to point out that they have a food bank and also, just went out of my head, sorry. So if you have any questions about Sabil, I'd like you to please see them on Facebook at Sabil USA or www.sabil.us. I'll put both of them in the chats every once in a while if you want to download those to your own computer. So now, without further ado, let me introduce to you Dr. Noha. I have had the pleasure of reading her books a few years back, and I give them to all my new mothers. The book that she co-authored was called Parenting in the Muslim Home. Dr. Noha practices at Sakina Counseling based in Orange County, California. She is a licensed marriage and family therapist and certified and positive discipline trainer focused on the Muslim community. And we will break around 11:45. I will give all your questions to her, and then we'll move on for 5 minutes. Let everyone do what they need to do. And at the top of the hour, we'll start with our next speaker. So Veronica, you're going to put it in speaker mode so that it records only Nuhat's face. Thank you. And without further ado, Dr. Noha Alshugairi.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. It is so lovely to be with all of you today. Inshallah, you know, we will all, inshallah, have a great workshop, inshallah. So, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillah, kama yanbaghi li jalali wajhihi wa 'azimi sultanih, was-salatu was-salam ala atyab al-mursalin, Muhammadin sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. My topic today is strategies for parents to help train their children in the ability to self-soothe. And by self-soothing, I'm talking about the ability of a person to be able to contain their agitation, their emotional agitation, or their struggle without having, without believing that they cannot do it on their own. And these strategies are actually also useful for adults. So inshallah, as we go through them, you might find that if you apply them in your life, that's going to be also something very useful and beneficial for you, inshallah. So we are at the end of 2020. And it has been a very difficult year for almost everybody in the whole world in different ways and at different levels. COVID-19 is a wake-up call for all of us. And many of us have asked ourselves many difficult questions. Foremost amongst them, for me personally, as a therapist that work with people who are struggling with life in general, is the question about, are we resilient? And the other question is, how actually do we handle difficulties? How do we handle even difficult questions about just the purpose of life and the meaning of life, and what is the meaning of when bad things happen, just like we were all exposed during subhanallah this year. So I'm going to talk about 12 different strategies. The time doesn't allow us to go into a lot of details about each one of them. So it's just going to be touch and go. So I'm basically just going to basically very quickly describe what I mean by the strategy, and then give very practical ways to actually apply this strategy in life. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay, I need someone to actually allow me to share the screen.
Okay, hold on.
Thank you.
This is her, correct? Okay, you should be able to now.
Inshallah. Okay, let's see. Bismillah. Okay. So, can you see my screen now? Yes? Okay, alhamdulillah.
Yes.
So I'm gonna go ahead. Okay, so we're talking about strategies to train children in their ability to self-soothe. And I have collected all of it in a poster, as you see it on the screen right now, and we're gonna take them one by one. So the first one is cultivate spirituality. And when I talk about spirituality, I'm not talking necessarily about just being religious. I'm actually talking about something even more deeper than being religious. I'm talking about humility, about being humble in understanding our limits as human beings, despite our extensive knowledge, despite our extensive technology. And I think everybody will agree that this is something we had to come to terms with in dealing with COVID-19, especially for us living in the US, because, you know, there is this idea or this myth that the US is the best country in the world, is most advanced, and has all the best of knowledge. And we failed miserably at actually handling the crisis of COVID-19. So a lesson in humility for all of us. So how do we teach, or how do we train our children in the idea of cultivating spirituality? Of course, there are so many things, but I'm just going to mention some of them. So for me, the most important piece is really focusing on them loving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and emphasizing doing that through stories. Me, myself, I remember that my love of Islam grew from reading the stories of the companions, reading the stories of the Prophet and the other prophets. I learned so much just from knowing all the hardships that they had gone through and how they handled them. We also want to teach our children that we need to look at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not as this God who is only focused on punishing us. We need to teach our children that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is there to support us, not necessarily in everything we want, because sometimes we are not going to get everything we want. But we need to learn that He has the best plan for us, and we need to trust it while, you know, seeking His support and sustenance through dua. Another point to also emphasize is connecting all the blessings that we have with Allah. And this is something we can do very early with young children. And the other last piece about this one I want to mention is training our children from an early age to do istikhara. It's one of the beautiful aspects of Islam, this idea that you can actually seek Allah's help and answer for you whenever you are stuck in a situation and you don't know what is the best answer. So an amazing way to connect with Allah and seeking His help. The other piece about cultivating spirituality is being careful about the life messages we are sending to our children. I have noticed, especially in our society, in our community, sometimes there is a lot of emphasis on happiness, on being happy all the time, when this is not the Islamic framework. The Islamic framework is actually in Surah Al-Balad, Surah number 90, Ayah Raqam 4, and it says, وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي كَبَدٍ. I have created humans in constant struggle. This is the Islamic framework, that life is not going to be a rosy movie. Life is not going to be smooth. There will be struggles, and we really need to know how to handle them and seek Allah in handling them. Another point that unfortunately also I'm seeing as somewhat weak in our teaching of children about Islam is the idea of the belief in qada wa qadar. We're not teaching children from an early age that to know that whatever happened because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordained it, and whatever did not happen because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordained it. We don't teach them that, and so they go into this unreasonable and belief that it's all in their hands. And I'm going to tie this to the other part of our Islamic framework, which is tie your camel and then lean into Allah. Because when we talk about the belief in qada wa qadar, we're not talking about being passive. We're not talking about just sitting still and not doing anything, waiting for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala qadar to happen. No, Allah's qadar happen through our action. But what it means to believe in qada wa qadar is to submit when things don't go our way, despite doing everything in our power to make it happen. So next point is step back and let them grow. You know, in the US, we talk about something, I'm sure many of you have heard the phrase helicopter parents. And helicopter parents are, I mean, it's an interesting, you know, metaphor, but helicopters are, you know, usually they don't actually fly very high. They're always flying very close to the ground. So you get the idea about helicopter parents, who are those parents who are hovering around their children and not giving them any space to breathe and any space to actually kind of like learn how to become independent. It's funny thing I read a couple of years ago is that because of this wave of helicopter parents, universities had to actually establish a new position in their admission, you know, departments, just to deal with parents. When young adults, when they were going to college, they had to deal with this on their own. They're young adults, they can handle it. But now with the wave of helicopter parents, we have parents who are interfering and intervening in everything in a child's life and doing it for the child instead of the child owning responsibility for their own life. And that's really suffocating, damaging, and we end up with very fragile and very weak generations. So practically, what does it mean? From an early age, teaching children to do for themselves. I see many parents who continue to feed their children despite the child's ability to feed himself or herself. Or homework, same thing. Parents who don't from an early age, like, and when I'm talking early age, I'm talking kindergarten, okay? Some people are going, oh, early age, maybe she means like maybe 9th grade. No. I'm talking kindergarten, okay? If your child is in kindergarten, has homework, you train him or her that they need to sit and do their homework and you don't interfere. You allow them to make mistakes. This homework does not need to be perfect. This is part of the learning process. Allow them to go to school and figure it out. Many children don't wake up by themselves. They are dependent on their parents coming in and waking them up, and endless battles happen because, oh, mom, I don't want to wake up. Mom, no, 5 more minutes. Well, this is something a child can do. And this one is one of my pet peeves. Is like as I'm walking in my neighborhood, I see these grandparents carrying the school bags for the grandchildren. Why? This is the responsibility of the child. So we need to shift whatever the child can do for himself or herself. They need to do it. Another one in terms of training children in independence is allowance, and you begin early. My eldest grandchild is going to be 5 in February, and he already has an allowance. I think they give him $1 every week. And he has a small box, cardboard box, and it says, you know, Zach's money or something like that. So every week his father gives him $1 and it goes into the box. And the other day, you know, he and his mom, you know, went online, and the first thing he wanted to buy with his money was to buy a gift for his grandmother and his cousin. And it was so lovely. And so they sat, and his mom was teaching him, no, that you don't have that much money, you need to do something less. A lot of lessons are learned in an allowance, and you can start early. Very important not to interfere. Allow children to make mistakes with their money. And they are given allowances not because they're good, not because they are actually following your rules, not because they're doing chores. They're giving an allowance because they are part of the family, which means you don't punish them if they actually don't, if they don't do, you know, if they misbehave. So, but by taking away from their allowance, I mean. Okay, so I'm gonna be going quickly, sorry guys, just because of the time limit. So the next one is provide a healthy diet. And as you know, mashallah, in the US, we are the country of fads. So now, right now, I don't know how many fads we have about diets right now. We have so many. And people feel so strongly about the diets they follow, and they go into a lot of tension and, you know, and anger when, you know, when people don't respect their diet. So all I'm gonna say is this is, I love these 5 principles from Dan John. He's the author of a book that my son is reading right now about nutrition and being an athlete. So very simple rules: cut back on sugar. You see, notice he's not saying don't have sugar, have 0 sugar, okay? Because it's very important to be realistic. If we want to be leading a balanced life, we need to be realistic. So there will be some sugar, but cut back on excessive sugar. Cut out cardboard carbs, all processed carbs. Get rid of Frankenstein fats, which means all the fats that are actually made in the lab. So these are not natural fats. Butter is a natural fat. Margarine is not. Eat colorful vegetables. And then the thing he says is, let's all find out what we agree on before we seek perfection. Meaning that there are so many different ideas about diets out there. Each one of them is seeking a particular angle of perfection. So let us not focus on our differences, and let's focus on what do we all agree on. Okay, moving on. Next one is co-create routines and house rules. Routines are essential for children. They're also essential for adults, believe it or not, but let's not talk about that. Let's focus on children. Routines are very essential for children because they are grounding. They give the child a sense of control over their environment. They know what is, they know what to predict, what's going to happen. And so they don't feel as anxious because of the uncertainty. House rules are important also because I've noticed that many families end in many battles over things that have not been clarified by rules. Like a very basic rule I would think for children is what does the family do, or how does the family handle chocolate and candies? Okay, because they are part of life. Okay, the child is going to be exposed to them. So what are the rules in the family about candy and chocolate? When does it happen? So for routines to be effective, they need to be realistic. With young children, they need to be visual, just like I showed you in the picture. Here in the picture, we had Mariam and Layan. They were actually making their own routine. Mariam and Layan were 3 years old at this time when they were doing this routine chart. So their mom took pictures of them doing different parts of their routine, and then they had it on a poster and it hung on the wall. Of course, for older kids, it doesn't need to be visual like that. But what's very important is for routines to be consistent, and there is time in the routine for transitions. Sometimes with children, we don't allow time for breathing, for moving from one thing to another. For rules, they need to be realistic. Again, we need to be firm. Once we have a rule, we need to be very firm about it, and then we need to be consistent. Next is allow for boredom. Again, for us who live in the US, we are blessed that we have so many programs, taban pre-COVID, and inshallah we'll go back to that. But I know many families where their schedule is just really back to back of activities. From the minute the child wakes up until the minute goes to sleep, there is no breathing room in the schedule. So it is extremely important for the child to have time, unstructured time. And it's very important that this unstructured time is not the time for being passive on TV or the iPad or the YouTube. No, unstructured time just to have time, just to have space to even think and reflect. All the inventions in the world happened because somebody had unstructured time where they sat and they reflected and they thought and they actually came up with an idea. Next idea, nurture strength and celebrate progress. Unfortunately, many families focus on perfection. And what does that mean? It means that if the child doesn't do something very well, then the child is not going to get any encouragement from the parents, because some parents believe that if they were to encourage a child, even when he has not done the best, then that means they are okay with mediocrity. But we need to keep in mind that that children or progress is a process, is a journey, and some people will make mistakes as they are getting to the end result. So we need to encouragement. So how does encouragement look like? So this is some of the factors that define encouragement. We focus on the action. We don't focus on the person. So we say something like, "You figured it out," instead of saying, "You are so smart." Because "you are so smart" could actually mean for the child that every single time I don't know the answer, that means I'm stupid. But if we are focusing on a specific action, then there is leeway, there is space for the child not to be perfect. We focus on effort when we encourage rather than the end result. And here I came across when in one of my parenting classes, I got this note from one of the persons who were attending, and it struck me. It speaks to this point about how do we need to encourage effort. So he said, "I grew up with a lot of focus on results versus effort. When I was doing my PhD in engineering," now notice this is a guy, older guy, okay? "I always felt like a failure. Even though I was doing a lot of effort, I had no meaningful results and I quit. I really like the idea of stressing on effort, not results, because sometimes even if our efforts don't lead to the desired results in the moment, they are still meaningful. And this is how all the inventions happen. There had to be a lot of failure before they can come to find, some kind of scientific principle. Encouragements are usually centered around the child. So we go like something, for example, you actually threw the ball to your team members this time 5 times this game, rather than saying the opposite would be something like, "Oh, I liked how you actually threw the ball to your team members today." So you see, one is about me, I liked, I loved, and the other one is just more focused on describing what the child has done. And because in encouragement, we are focusing on action and effort and centering around the child, that helps build the internal locus of control, which is extremely important for self-confidence, for avoiding addictions, for avoiding peer pressure. So for all of the parents who are worrying about, any of these situations, this is one of the best ways to help immune your child against that. And encouragement is always given in all situations, whether at the beginning, at the end, during the situation. You don't need to wait to the end result to give it, and it's focused on improvements and not perfection. Okay, moving on. Teach delayed gratification. In the era of Facebook and Instagram, and actually even more important than that, Amazon, okay? Like you just click and then the package arrives, even same day. Sometimes you get your package. There is no space for us to learn how to be patient, or how to learn that we need to actually delay or wait for things. So teaching children delayed gratification is an important piece of their ability to handle difficulties in life. Because if we are teaching this generation that everything is one click away, that is a very powerful recipe for big disappointments and anger and worry. This is a picture of my grandchildren. I take them on a walk every day. So one way of me trying to teach them delayed gratification is I take a packet of cookies with me on the walk, and then so the first day, I got out the packet of cookies, and they started telling me, "Oh, Teta, we want to eat it right now," because this is the children, they want things right now. And so I said to them, you know what, guys, we are actually going to have it after we get to the park. So you need to wait until we get to the park, and then we're going to have it. We teach this concept in small steps. Here is other ways to teach delayed gratification. For example, we talked about rules for cookies or candies. Teach them that they're not going to have it anytime during the day. They'll have it after a meal, and it has to be a healthy meal. In order for you to teach children delayed gratification, you as a parent need to be able to withstand tantrums, because this is how children influence us and manipulate us. They go into a full-blown tantrum, and then we lose our firmness, and we don't maintain our rules and our grounds. Another one, because nowadays screen time is a big piece of the schedule of children, is to make the screen time for the children really scheduled at a specific time, so not haphazard. That's also part of delayed gratification. So let's assume in the morning they wake up and, "Oh, Teta, we want to watch whatever the show." And we say, "When is the time that where you watch your show?" "Oh, 4 p.m. Okay, we need to wait until 4 p.m. Another way of teaching delayed gratification is to teach children, and this also happens with older kids, to save their own money from their own allowance to buy their games and their stuff. Another one is aid gifts. Teaching children that they can ask for big ticket items and have them anticipate that they are going to get these, inshallah, at a time. Okay, moving on. Connect with nature. So this is my red wagon. This one goes with us every day when we go for a walk, my grandchildren and I. So we started before they lifted the restrictions on the playground. So the playgrounds were off limit, but still what we did is we would walk in the neighborhood. And the children, they just found for us adults, we may think, "Oh, this is nothing important," but children find they're amazed by the simplest things. So I don't know if you can see in the picture, but there are right here, these are specific leaves from a pine tree. We have this very special pine tree in our neighborhood, and the leaves are very unique. So the children, one day, they spent at least 20 minutes collecting these pine leaves, and just, they wanted to take them home. So many things happen when we step outside our doors. And unfortunately, we are living more and more in a very artificially regulated home environments. So we don't experience heat, we don't experience cold. And this is unfortunate, because that's actually part of the self-regulation of body, is you step outside the door, experience the climate, experience the elements outside the door. That by itself is also self-soothing. I remember one time we were on the family call, And my eldest grandchild at that time, he was less than a year, and he was crying very, very, very hard. And so I told my son, you know what, just carry him and go outside the house, you know, in the neighborhood. I'm not talking about anything fancy here. So he just stepped outside the house and he quieted immediately. So unfortunately, we think we have so many important things to do at home, mainly on the computers, and we are losing this wonderful opportunity to just step outside our doors and allow and you know, learn from what we can see outside. So connecting with nature is going to be depending on definitely where everyone is living. When I went to Saudi Arabia to visit my parents, in order for me to connect with nature, I had to do it either very early in the morning or at Maghrib time because of the weather. In Saudi Arabia, nature is about the desert, which is beautiful, amazing. It has its own peace. It's so different than the greenery or the forest that you may see in the US, or not all the US. Of course, we have desert in the US too. All I'm trying to say, there is nature wherever you are. There is nature even in the city. I remember one time I was staying in downtown LA, and so because I was attending a workshop, so during the lunch hour I would leave the hotel and just walk in the streets around the hotel, and discovered a very small park in the midst of all these buildings, but it was very lovely and refreshing. So look for it and you will find it. I consider taking kids to the playground as part of connecting with nature. So it's very important to do this on a daily basis. Make it work for you. Of course, in the US, mashallah, we have the ability to do hiking. Another thing I'm going to mention about connecting with nature is focus in your vacations, not necessarily on man-made cities, but focus on areas where you actually can be, for example, camping. Camping is an amazing way to connect with nature. Just, you know, some thoughts about that. Next point is, I'm sure you hear that a lot, minimize screen time, especially nowadays with all of us stuck being at home. But please be intentional about it. Limit the time your children are exposed to the screen. I'm not saying don't allow them to go on the screen because electronics and screens are part of our life already, but we need to model for them how to use it properly. So limit the time, limit the spaces where, especially with young children, so make it a rule that they can only use electronics in the living room, in open space in the house. And the goal from that is as they grow older, they don't get used to the idea of using electronics in their own bedrooms with the door closed. Because I keep saying this, I worry about our boys addicted to porn, because that's a huge problem that we have in our community. So we are not going to prevent our boys from being exposed to porn, but let's work on actually getting them not addicted to porn. There's a huge difference between exposure and addiction. So please, parents, take back control over this issue and make it happen in your family. I'm also going to say, choose your battle. Some of you may be listening to me and their children, for example, are 17, 16, and they have bigger problems to worry about than the screens. So don't fight the minor problems or battles when you have a bigger problem to worry about. Next point is to embrace mistakes and failures. Unfortunately, I don't know why in our community we look down on mistakes and we see them as a reflection of the self-worth of a person when they are not. We are human beings. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us with the ability to make mistakes. If we didn't make mistakes, we would be angels. We're not angels. So when we are handling mistakes with children, this is what I'm inviting you to do. Always ask the child, so what have we learned from this? The second question is, how can you fix it? Because we want the child to own responsibility for their mistakes. And remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts the tawbah, accepts the repentance of us adults. So let's teach children that good deeds actually erase bad deeds. This is part of our framework, and we can teach it in our handling of mistakes. Same thing applies to failure. Failure is basically only data. It's a data about the situation. It's a data about what needs to change. So if we look at it like this, then we do not necessarily connect it with shame for children, because that's the worst part in how our community is dealing with failure or mistakes, is connecting these two within the children's mind with a deep sense of shame. So we can use failure as an opportunity to build confidence and learn. Thank you, Karima. I saw it, Habibti. Well done. Or are we going to quash the potential of a person in how we respond to their failure? Okay, let's see. So I have 3 more to go. Next one is integrate feelings. So I have a 3-step way of handling feelings, and it's identify the feelings, learning how to express your feeling, and the last one is how do we contain the emotions or the agitations we are feeling. So I have a full workshop. It's like a 1-hour workshop on this particular topic on YouTube, Sakina Counseling channel. So I'm not gonna go a lot into this. You guys can watch it in detail on how to handle this. Next idea is to encourage mind and body activities. And this is part of actually also handling emotions. But in this one, it's not only needed or necessary when we are feeling agitated, but if the child is used to doing mind-body activities, it becomes a source of rejuvenation and a source of filling up their psychological energy. So examples of mind-body activities are wudu, believe it or not, prayers, drawing, coloring, puzzles, reading, and physical activities. The idea behind mind and body activity is sometimes we live disjointed. We are in the moment disjointedly. So we are either all in our brain or in our mind, just thinking and ruminating, or we're just like feeling things and sitting paralyzed, and we don't know what to do. So when you get the mind and the body involved in one activity, you align them together, and that by itself is calming. And as I said earlier, is also an important piece of filling our psychological energy and our psychological cup. Okay, and so by this, I have now covered all 12 strategies for how to train our children to become, to be able to self-soothe. So Karima, you can go ahead and shoot questions, inshallah.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Noha. Just a bit of housekeeping. There might be some people who want to get in. I got a message saying, can we let other people in? There might be someone in the waiting room. So if you would check that, please, Veronica. All right, so one of the questions that we got is really specific, and it would be, what do you think, or what is your opinion of the best schedule for a 2-year-old if the mother is working?
That's a very good question, because part of the routine is always answering the question, who is going to be in control of the routine? Who's the person who's going to enforce the routine? So the 2-year-old, if the mother is working, that means the 2-year-old is actually being supervised by someone else. So first, immediately what comes to my mind is there space, or is this person going to be amenable to actually having a routine? Because I know many adults who actually are not comfortable doing routines, and even though that they like the idea of routines, they're not gonna do it, they're not gonna enforce it. So because I believe in being realistic, if the person who's taking care of your child is not someone who is going to be open to routines, then, you know, you might share the idea, invite them to do it, but don't stress too much if it doesn't happen. As to the what is the best routine for a 2-year-old, I would definitely focus on sleep time. When do they go to bed? It has to be a specific time. And when do they have a nap during the day, and controlling the nap time, because sometimes what happens for 2 years old, we allow them to sleep for a long they take a long nap, and then ultimately that interferes with their bedtime routine, bedtime, yani their time going to sleep. The other thing that is important in a routine of a 2-year-old is meal times. When is breakfast, when is lunch, when is snack time, and when is dinner time. After that, you can fit other things. For example, playtime, going outside, and if you allow your child to do screen time, then also screen time, with very limited screen time for a 2-year-old.
Fantastic. We have a couple of other questions here. One is, what are the signs of a child who has anxiety? I'm noticing a huge change in one of my daughters since COVID.
So it could actually the anxiety could come up in different ways. There isn't like really one specific way. Sometimes it could be that the child, depending also on the age of the child also. So there are so many variables. It could be that the child is withdrawn, especially if it's a teenager. You could see a child who's going with younger children. It could be children who are going into a lot of tantrums. You could have children who are having nightmares. There are many ways. But what's important is, what are we going to do about it? And so if someone is worried about their children's ability to handle their emotions, I highly, highly recommend that you watch the video. It's called The Story Behind Our Emotions, because the first teacher in teaching emotional regulation is the parent. And also here, I'm going to ask another question. What are we modeling as parents in terms of actually dealing with anxiety? Are we handling anxiety ourselves well? Or are we transmitting the message that we are anxious, we're scared, we don't know how to handle it? So, yeah.
There's two questions on allowance here. One is, what do you think of general performance-based allowance? And can you suggest what the appropriate weekly allowance might be for a 7 or 9-year-old? And
so
how do you not interfere?
So let's begin with the first one. General performance, you said?
Yeah, general performance, like probably a bonus or something like that. There's they get an allowance for just being in the family, but if they did a particular chore around the house, could they get money for that?
Okay, so so let me emphasize that there has to be a very basic allowance for just being a family member. That is very important. Okay, it's not associated with anything. Chores, I really, really would hope that the children understand that they are family members and they are expected to help around the house, not for money, but just because they are family members. How are we going to teach them empathy if everything they do is for money? So there needs to be basic chores that they are expected to do without getting money for that. But if there is like a very, very special chore, something, you know, something that doesn't happen all the time, and it's like a big thing, yes, you may pay them for that, but not the basic chores. Okay, not for making their beds, not for putting their plates in the dishwasher, not for helping you cook, not for helping you clean the table, not for doing the vacuum for you. None of this. This is all basic stuff. Okay, so they need to be doing this to help you as their mother. Yeah. So this was the first part, Karima.
Yeah, and the second one, do you have a suggestion for appropriate allowance for a 7 and a 9-year-old, and how to absolutely have no interference whatsoever in how they spend it?
So the allowance amount is going to be dependent on the house, on the finances of the family. So I don't have any recommendation, but what I do recommend is there has to be an allowance, even if the finances are tight. Still having some kind of money that is giving regularly and consistently is extremely important for the child to feel that they can actually you know, save their money and get something that their parents maybe think is too expensive. So yeah, I'm not going to have recommendations, specific recommendations. As for how not to interfere, yes, it's important for them to learn the hard way. So let me give you the most common question that comes up for me about where the money is spent. So they tell me, oh, how about if they go and buy candy?
Yeah.
With all with all their allowance, or soda, which actually used to happen in my household. Used to happen all the time in my household. But then what you do is you're supposed to have had rules in the family about the candy and the soda at home. So your rules continue to apply on whatever they're buying, but they're buying it with their own money. Okay.
There's a couple of deep questions we might not be able to get all the way through, but one is a 1-year-old who's defiant, begins to cry, and does not get her way. How do you recommend to teach her patience and soothing a 1-year-old?
Okay. Yeah, so when I hear this, I immediately hear there is a lack of consistency.
Okay.
Immediately. Okay, so my first, and I'm not saying that 1-year-olds are not gonna throw tantrums. They do. Okay, because that's what children do. But when it becomes such a big problem like this, I'm sensing that there is a lack of consistency. So my invitation is for the parent to write down all the different areas where the tantrums are happening. So like monitor these for a whole week, figure out what the areas of concern are. Number 2, figure out as a parent, what is your rule about these different areas? Number 3, be firm and consistent. So once you decide on the rule, you need to be very firm and consistent about it. In the beginning, your child is going to cry and cry and cry and cry because they have gotten the idea that crying gets me what I want. So you need to be patient for a while until your child figures out that you have changed, that you now are no longer just going to give in sometimes. Because this is what tantrums happen. They happen because the child knows, oh, sometimes I'm going to get what I want. So I just need to up the ante. Yes, I'm just going to cry and cry and cry. And
I have one more question and we have 1 minute. And sure. It's one, because a lot of people have this. The COVID has come at it, and we didn't have your advice to begin with. So how can we put rules in place for teenagers to control screen time with all the pressures that they face from peer pressure?
So that's why I said choose your battles for that particular point, because I get this question all the time from parents of teens. And so I tell them, I want you to write down all of your concerns or battles with your teen. And then see, is the battle about screen time at the top of the list, or is it at the bottom of the list? Okay, because if it's at the top of the list, that means, alhamdulillah, maybe you don't have big problems, alhamdulillah, to worry about. So maybe then what you need to do is sit down with your teenager, talk about your concern about screen time, and figure out where you have control. This is very important. So what I mean by what you have control, you are the parent, you're the one who can have a password over the Wi-Fi and the router. You could decide when access to the internet actually stops, okay? So you sit with your teenager and you talk about this is what you're gonna do, and you do it. But if you are going to sit and talk to the teen and say, please stop using your iPhone at time, and the iPhone is actually in the room all the time, okay, you are fighting a futile battle, okay? I really recommend that you do not fight this battle, okay? Why demean yourself when the teen has control over the issue, not you? So with teenagers, you really have to look, where do I have control? And actually exercise it. Not let go. I hope the point is clear, inshallah.
And I just want to remind people that even if the internet comes automatic on, or excuse me, the Wi-Fi, or no, your telephone has internet, you can call your provider and tell them you don't want internet, data internet. You can have your phone only receive Wi-Fi, so that if they have their phone and it's not, you should make it a habit of everybody's phone being in a box or outside in mom's room, like out in mom's bathroom or something, because phones should be away from our bodies at night, right? So, but if they're in their room and they've got data, even if you turn the Wi-Fi off, it doesn't work. Okay, I'm sorry, people, I'm taking up your break time. Let me say thank you to Dr. Noha. There is a whole lot more she could teach us, and we have some ideas for Sabil to continue doing these on a monthly basis, one speaker at a time. So if you're enjoying this, please look forward to some more sponsored by the wellness program at Sabil. So at the top of the hour, I will introduce Ms. Naziha Warek, who will introduce our next speaker. So we've got 3 minutes. I'm sorry, everyone, we overspoke. I will see you all at 12 o'clock.
Thank you, Karima. And I want to thank Noha.
Give us 3 minutes, honey. Samar, you want to put on your video?
Yeah.
And anybody who needs to stretch their legs or go get a glass of water, now's the time.
Where is your video?
Okay.
Pull up the video. Oh, hold on. Okay, so, oh geez. It's saved.
It's saved to my desktop.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back, everyone. I'm sorry, Samar. I think you're having some technical difficulties, huh? We can show it in the next break, inshallah. Is that good? All right, so that we stay on schedule, because all of our speakers have so much to tell us, and we're all going to want to hear from them again as well. So in the next 45-minute session, I'd like to have Nasiha introduce one of her favorite people, Dr. Farhat. And Nasiha, can I have you open your mic?
It's open. You don't see me?
I see
Hello?
you. Yes, you're on. You're on.
You hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
My desk drive.
I want to thank Noha. Noha is a role model for everything she teaches. And I have known Noha over 30 years when she was as a parent and now as a grandparent. So, and she is motivating to the community, and she took a role in many different stages to help in the community. And finally, now she's doing the best as a parenting therapist. Thank you again, Noha. I would like to introduce now our speaker, Dr. Farhat. We're going to talk about Sabil, because this is part, all those wonderful speakers is part of what Sabil does, introducing great service and awareness to the community to live a better life. And we all need it. So now we want to get to our next speaker. Dr. Farhat Chaudhry is a doctor of psychology and a licensed marriage and family therapist. She has a private practice in Anaheim Hills and Newport Beach. She has experience in teaching a variety of master's and doctoral level psychology classes. Dr. Farhat is also a researcher and has conducted over 20 research projects. Wow, mashallah. She presented her research at national and international levels. Her work has been inclusive of multicultural research on couples, parenting, and issues pertaining to power, gender, and equality. Other topics of her research are related to the bridging of psychological and medical issues of fibromyalgia and postpartum depression. Dr. Farhat has presented her research and workshops at Columbia University of Atlanta and many international universities. Farhat has a license as well as assessments for postpartum depression. Farhat has volunteered for the, excuse me, I know LMFT, MFT what it means, but maybe she will explain what it is. COA, MFT, the certification meetings, associate professor interviews, CFT, student admission interviews, AAMFT events, and numerous other community activities and fundraisers. As of my behalf to share something, Dr. Farhat, we are blessed ever since I knew her 4 years ago after losing my son and starting this program with Sabil. And she has done great service to the community. And specifically now that she treats many people who needs help in Sabil, we send them to her. She has average of 25 interview or meetings with people who needs help, therapy sessions a month just for Sabil. And this is beyond, I mean, in addition to all other private meetings, but she gives so much to the community. And I've known her on personal level, giving to anybody who needs. I have seen the changes in the life of many people who she has been seeing. Without further delay, we would love to introduce Dr. Farhat Chaudhry.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Nasiha, for your kind words and your dedication to normalizing mental health for everyone. I also want to thank Samar and the Sabil team for all your hard work for providing this mental health platform and allowing mental health awareness to be something to talk about. And Noha, I loved your presentation. So I hope, inshallah, everyone in the audience is doing well and keeping safe during these trying times. Just an FYI, it might sound like a psychology class lecture at times, but I'll warn you before that so you can take a quick break. Although I'll be discussing anxiety because there are so many of us that have been affected by the pandemic during this stressful time, there are other mental health diagnoses that are also prevalent and growing just as high in numbers, unfortunately. So in proceeding with today's presentation, I'd like to let you know that I will begin with discussing and laying out some of the symptomology of the various types of anxiety disorders. Each of these disorders need to be talked about in some detail so that we may have a better understanding of the dire impact of these disorders for those that suffer with them, as well as those that are going along with these people that are suffering and recognizing that they have to be supported and loved somehow. So anxiety. Anxiety is an emotion that is characterized by feeling stressed, having tension, worried thoughts, concerns about life situations such as, we have financial worries. When is the paycheck coming? How are we going to pay for this and that? Job interviews. Did I do good on my job interview? Are they going to call me back? Social interactions. What did I say? Did I say the right thing? Did I say the wrong thing? Are they judging me for, what I said? Even Zoom presentations can all give us anxiety. These are normal types of anxieties. It's something we all feel. Anxiety is something we all feel at one time or another in our life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala built anxiety into our biology because it safeguards us against danger and it protects us. Anxiety is not a word to be feared. Anxiety is a feeling to be understood and controlled. And when it is not controlled is when it becomes a problem. Many of you may have heard my coined phrase of anxiety doesn't control you, you control anxiety. Saying this is a very good way of reminding yourself how strong you actually are, how much control you actually have over your anxiety. So anxiety doesn't control you, you control anxiety. What is anxiety? Those with anxiety disorders have intrusive thoughts, worries, and concerns that can be overwhelming. Usually, this involves persistent feelings of apprehension and dread that doesn't go away. It causes us to avoid doing things that we would like to be doing, that we'd want to be interactive with, just enjoying life. Anxiety is our body's reaction to stress and can occur even when there is no immediate worry or threat that we can pinpoint, meaning anxiety can come from a subconscious level and we don't even recognize that we're worried or stressed over something. Why is it important to address it? Well, if we don't take control of our anxiety, it will begin to interfere with our daily activities. When there is irrational and constant dread or fear of everyday situations, anxiety can be disabling. How can it be disabling? Well, I have some patient stories. The best of my students freeze during tests. Many of my student patients come in for performance anxiety. They're not able to get through finals, and a lot of them end up repeating classes or even repeating the entire year, delaying graduation, losing their confidence and feeling like they've disappointed themselves as well as their parents. Regaining that confidence takes time. For these students, anxiety is disabling. Again, another handful of my patients I see come in for driving anxiety. One young lady shared how she was able to leave her home, but the fast-moving cars around her made her freeze on the road. She would have to stop, sometimes even in the middle of the road, and sometimes be able to pull off to the side of the road, turn on her hazard lights, and wait for someone to help her or call for help. Finally, what happened? She stopped driving. For people with driving anxiety, this takes away their freedom. Again, anxiety is disabling. Social situations causing anxiety is a very real concern for many of my patients. One young man describes how he would not want to go out because he felt awkward around people. He felt displaced. He felt like he didn't know how to talk to people, but his parents would force him to go. His anxiety was so powerful and so strong that he would go into the restroom for the majority of the gathering just to hide from others, so he's not judged by others. For people like him, anxiety takes away the ability to make happy memories, to enjoy those times that we're supposed to be enjoying. For all these people that have these social types of anxiety, that's disabling. Their symptoms are real, their fears are real, and their anxiety is real. Anxiety affects our health and leads to issues related to our sleep, digestion, even our cardiovascular, immune, and reproductive systems, as well as many other mental health related issues. Anxiety is a real disorder. Mental disorders are real and serious, just as real and serious as medical disorders. Things like heart disease, hypertension, diabetes, to name a few. And if we can see those as serious disorders, we should be able to see mental health disorders as just as serious. Anxiety disorders are the most prevalent mental health disorders in the United States. There are over 40 million, meaning 18%, experiencing anxiety here in the US. Approximately 42% of the students that come in for therapy are coming in for anxiety-related issues. The World Health Organization statistics show that 1 in 13 people worldwide suffer from anxiety, making anxiety disorders the most common mental health disorder in the world. Although men suffer from anxiety, women, unfortunately, are twice as likely to suffer from it. And we don't give ourselves enough time to pay attention to what we're suffering with. Here's where you go take a break because it's gonna feel like a classroom setting now. I'm gonna go into the disorders and talk about them. Okay. Generalized anxiety disorder is something we're going to address along with social phobias, panic disorders, agoraphobias, specific phobias, post-traumatic stress disorder, and obsessive compulsive disorder. So ready? First of all, generalized anxiety disorder. What is it? It's when a person feels anxious on most days, worrying about a lot of things for a prolonged period of time. Genetics, brain chemistry, and environmental factors are the cause for generalized anxiety disorder. Some of the symptoms that we see are excessive, consistent, chronic worry and tension, difficulty concentrating, frequent bathroom use, sleep issues, and being easily startled, feeling edgy, irritable, restless, muscle tension, you feel headaches, you feel nausea, tired, trembling, sweating. Wow, how disabling does that sound? Imagine the people going through it. Then we move on to social phobia. Some degree of social shyness or discomfort in public speaking is normal and doesn't imply that you have anxiety problems. It's when this shyness becomes intense and the idea of socializing, speaking in public to strangers, to authority figures, or even to your friends causes you noticeable fear and anxiety. This is when it becomes a disorder. Excuse me, one quick second. Okay, social phobia is defined as a persistent, irrational fear of social situations. The person affected by this will go to great lengths to avoid social interaction because they fear that this disproportionate danger of the social situation. They exaggerate the consequences of their interaction at the event they're going to be attending and fear that they're going to be picked on, criticized, observed, or even avoided or judged. Maybe judged, fear of judging themselves or judging others, judging them, fear of doing or saying something stupid or embarrassing. They over exaggerate what might happen in a situation like that. People suffering with social phobia can also feel hopeless, fearful of unfamiliar situations or people, anxious about the thought of social situations even when they are not in a social situation, have intense issues meeting new people, and fear that they or others will notice that they're nervous. Some of the physical symptoms that you can see with people suffering with social phobia are redness or blushing faces, shortness of breath, upset stomach, nausea, and sometimes you hear people say, I have butterflies in my stomach. So that type of feeling, trembling, shaking, including shaky voices, racing heart, tightness in chest, sweating or hot flashes, feeling dizzy or faint, avoiding social situation to the extent that it limits or disrupts daily life, staying in the background to avoid embarrassing yourself when you're out somewhere, not comfortable being alone, always needing to bring a friend along in a social setting so that you have someone to hold on to, someone to rely on, someone to be there as a sense of support for you. Some have a tendency to drink alcohol before situations in an attempt to calm their nerves, which actually has proven not to really help. That would be disabling, not being able to enjoy social situations. And then we move on to panic disorders. Excuse me again. This is a very debilitating anxiety disorder. This is not the type of panic you feel when you're worried about losing your job or being attacked by a wild animal in the jungle. Those are normal types of panic. Panic disorder is having the feeling of severe doom that causes mental and physical symptoms, and at times so intense that hospitalization could be required. Those suffering with panic disorder feel there is something dangerously wrong with their health. Panic attacks are very intense mental and physical sensations that are triggered by anxiety, stress, and sometimes nothing at all. It's from our subconscious. They involve mental distress, but more known for their physical symptoms. So when we think of panic attacks, we think of rapid heartbeat, palpitations, irregular heartbeat, excessive sweating, hot or cold flashes, tingling, numbness, weakness in the body, a depersonalization, a feeling of detachment, like you're not connected to yourself or you feel outside yourself. Trouble breathing, the need to keep taking a deep breath, choking, trembling, shaking, lightheadedness, dizzy, hot, cold flashes, even chest pain, feeling like you're having a heart attack, stomach pains, extreme digestive discomfort, fear of dying, losing control, or even feeling like you're going crazy at times. Imagine how debilitating that would feel. Then we move on to agoraphobia. Fear of going out in public, fear of open spaces or unfamiliar places. Many people with agoraphobia don't leave their home. Others avoid traveling anywhere other than home, work, groceries, and some familiar places that they're comfortable with. The experience of being in unfamiliar places is intense and it's debilitating. Those with agoraphobia suffer from panic attacks, and they will avoid more and more places in effort to control those panic attacks. Eventually, they control it so much that they're afraid to go outside altogether. A traumatic event can also trigger the start of agoraphobia. So this is more common in adults. Not everyone with this diagnosis feels so trapped that they're stuck in their homes. Some of the symptoms of this anxiety disorder is obsessive fear of socializing regardless of knowing or not knowing the person. Severe stress of being in an environment that you're not in control of. Feeling stress during regular activities, such as if you're out shopping, talking to someone, walking outside, simply outside of your safe space, your room, your home, and even fear of public transportation. Being preoccupied with thoughts of how to protect yourself in the event that something bad might happen, even though there's no chance of anything bad happening. You're just preoccupied with thinking about what you would do if it did happen. Knowing that your own thoughts and fears are keeping you a prisoner within yourself, keeping you from living a normal, interactive life. Imagine how disabling that would feel. Next, we talk about specific phobias. Any kind of anxiety amounting to unreasonable or irrational fears related to a specific object or situation is specific phobia. So object would be being afraid of spiders, dogs, snakes, etc. Situations would be fear of flying, fear of heights, and those types of things. The person will do almost anything to avoid contact with that object that they fear or those situations that are scary to them. In several cases, the mere mention of the object or the mention of the situation will induce severe anxiety. What are some of the symptoms? Well, a feeling of imminent danger or doom that's always looming around you. The need to escape a situation. For example, needing to escape an elevator or being in a car, needing to just get out. That feeling is so strong. Physical things such as heart palpitations, again, chest pain, sweating, trembling, choking, nausea, along with the similar symptoms of the others, the shortness of breath, the dizziness, the tingling, hot flashes, and an extreme fear of dying. Hearing these symptoms, you can get the feeling of how disabling specific phobia would be for those that suffer from it. Next, we move on to post-traumatic stress disorder. And this is a very common one that we hear of often. PTSD happens when a person has difficulty recovering from a traumatic physical or emotional event, or even a dangerous life event. It is also possible to vicariously feel post-traumatic stress disorder by simply witnessing or hearing about a traumatic event that someone close to you has dealt with or is dealing with. What are some of the symptoms? Well, some of the symptoms that you'll see, excuse me 1 second again, have a very dry throat. Okay, some of the symptoms that you'll see are reliving the trauma in your head, which includes things like flashbacks, as if the event is occurring over and over again right before your eyes. And this can happen during the day as well as at night. Vivid and intrusive memories of that event, that you're constantly stuck in replaying the memories of the event and you can't get away from that. Frequent nightmares of what happened that was traumatic, and mental or physical discomfort when you're actually thinking about the traumatic event. Avoidance is another symptom, and that includes the person having little or no display of emotions, an apathetic person. So you won't see a lot of sadness or happiness or anything displayed by them, just a sense of numbness that comes over them. Detachment or lack of interest in daily activities, and even amnesia about the event can occur. They also have a tendency in avoiding people or situations that remind them of those traumatic events. There's also an increased arousal, which is characterized by difficulty concentrating. So you'll see they have a lot of difficulty in focusing on something. Patients are easily startled and have an exaggerated response. Constantly on guard, feeling hypervigilant, always looking around to make sure everything is okay. They can also display irritable or angry behavior, have difficulty falling asleep. That's a lot of stuff. Imagine those living with these symptoms, how disabling that would feel. Next, we move on to obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD. OCD can go from mild to destructive episodes of anxiety. OCD is a disorder in which individuals have recurring unwanted thoughts, ideas, or obsessions, or the urge to do something repetitively. In other words, have compulsions. OCD behaviors are not only confusing and frustrating to the person with the disorder, but also those that are around them as well. Some of the symptoms that we'll see, these patients have a fear of germs, illness, disease, fear of hurting themselves or others, fear of losing things that are important to them, hyper-focused on being precise and orderly, and even strict devotion to religious beliefs and even to superstitious beliefs. Some common compulsions include checking and rechecking completed tasks, continually calling family members or friends to make sure that they are safe because they're constantly thinking about what could happen to them, counting or repeating words, excessive cleaning or washing, ordering things, excessive prayings, anything in excess, even accumulating trash in fear of needing something in the future that they may throw away. So they want to keep everything. Hoarding behavior is a part of OCD. OCD can go from being a useful part of life where it helps you stay, in control and organized, to a completely disabling degree, just depending on the severity. That's a lot to deal with if you have OCD and you're at that extreme level. So we should really give a lot of patience and support to those that we know display those types of symptoms. Then we're going to move on to anxiety and substance use disorder. People with substance use disorder, otherwise known as SUD, are already marginalized by society because of the stigma. The stigma is based on the belief that addiction is a result of weak character and poor choices. Scientific evidence has clearly shown substance use disorder to be a disorder resulting from a change in brain chemistry. Patients suffer from stress and anxiety with stigma from disorder, as well as having the disorder itself. It's important for people with substance use disorder to be treated with compassion and with dignity. How do you recognize substance use disorder? Those with this disorder display some type of the same signs as those that suffer from anxiety. So a lot of the symptoms that we've already discussed with a variety of these disorders. But some unique signs to look for in hopefully not too many children and teenagers, but that's the group we're focused on, is hanging out with different friends, not their normal group of friends. So these are the signs to look for. Not caring about their appearance as they used to. Missing classes, even skipping school, losing interest in their favorite activities, getting in trouble with school or with the law, a change in eating or sleeping habits, that's a huge red flag. Tensioning, the relationships with family and friends, just being argumentative, and not, the normal behavior that they had, the normal caring behavior that you see is not there. There's no special type of person who becomes addicted. It can actually happen to anyone. If you suspect a problem, it's important to address it with your child or teen as you see these things come up. So don't wait too long. Social and familial support is really crucial since social isolation is actually a big risk factor for relapse. If you know someone with substance use disorder, reach out to them and support their efforts on their road to recovery. Help them see the road to recovery. Show them that they're loved. Encourage them, as well as yourself, to use effective coping methods that I'll touch upon later for alleviating the anxiety, depression, and other difficult emotions that come with substance use disorder. Guide them with care to reach out to a mental health or a medical health professional to get the help they need. Looking at all the symptoms of the various anxiety disorders, we cannot overlook and misinterpret the variety of medical issues that have similar symptomology. Some of the medical issues that cause anxiety include hyper and hypothyroidism, heart disease, respiratory disorders such as chronic obstructive pulmonary disorder, emphysema, and asthma. Some medication side effects also cause same types of symptoms. Illicit drug use or withdrawals from drug and alcohol abuse, irritable bowel syndrome. And these are just a few of the medical conditions that can cause anxiety, so we do have to rule those out. What are some of the methods for working through anxiety? Well, recognizing some signals that your body sends that it's stressed are difficulty concentrating. So if you feel like you're not focused and you're having a hard time, that's your body's way of telling you that it's in distress. Headaches, cold hands, tight muscles, clenched teeth, feeling edgy or feeling fidgety, irritable, withdrawn. If you're feeling like this, do something about it. For example, deep breathing. One of the things I tell my patients in office is, please take time to smell the roses and then blow out the birthday candles. So take a really deep breath as if you're smelling those roses and they smell so good. And then blow out those birthday candles as hard as you can. Empty those lungs out. So that deep breathing will help you relax. And then stretching, going for walks, journaling, any other relaxing activity that helps you relax. These things will reduce the stress and calm the anxiety. Take time out for yourself. We forget about, excuse me one second. We forget about taking care of us. We're very busy in taking care of our children, our families, our loved ones, our neighbors, our community. We need to focus a little bit on me. So make sure you have some of that me time. Make a daily routine that you can follow so that you know what's gonna happen throughout your day. You don't just, end up with surprises, and surprises can make you anxious because they take time away from the things that you feel are important to you. Learn to say no to some of those requests that everyone throughout the day is throwing your way. Say no so you can focus on listening to your body's signals from all those symptoms that we talked about so far, so that you can take care of your body, so that you can take care of your mind, so that you can have some time to rest and relax for yourself. Start with small changes to help build your resilience to the stress and anxiety of every day. What can those changes be? Well, start an exercise regimen. Anything, even if it's just walking 10 minutes. Eat healthy. Look at what your diet normally is and pick a healthier choice every day. And then eventually you'll get into a healthier eating pattern. Sleep is so important. Focus on your sleep. Make sure that you get the amount of sleep your body requires. Relaxation techniques. And I know some people use yoga and meditation. And if we really think about it, our beautiful religion has meditation built into it 5 times a day. If we just take that time to really connect with Allah, that's our meditation, that's our relaxation. And then other things such as reading, listening to music, listening to lectures, podcasts, whatever shifts your mood to go to those positive feelings and put away the stress and anxiety of the day. New routines can provide the structure your body needs to rest. So if there's something that you've wanted to do or try, but you haven't implemented it into your daily life, go ahead and do it. That's also a part of taking care of yourself. Scheduling is really important. So you can even schedule like your bath time, your bedtime, block off times to prioritize your tasks. And by this, I don't mean that you don't pay attention to those that need your attention, to those that you're responsible for. But a healthy you makes a you that's responsive to their needs in a much better and healthier way. Be mindful of your body's signals. Catch the anxiety and stress before it becomes too difficult to manage. We often wait too long and don't catch it until there's a breakdown of some type, whether it's in health issues or whether it's in mental health issues. So just be really mindful of what your body's trying to tell you. Another really important thing is stay connected. Keep in touch with family and friends. Keep in touch with the various groups that you have in your life. Having a person to talk to or being a person someone can talk with, these are reassuring and calming things. So either have that person or be that person, and it would be really helpful if you were both, as long as you're taking care of yourself. Learn to see problems through a different lens. Change the way you think and respond to a situation in a more positive way. This is called reframing. So for example, we all hate getting stuck in traffic. So on your way home from work, you're thinking, oh my gosh, I have a 1 hour drive. I hate being stuck in traffic. My drive is so horrible. Instead of thinking like that, reframe that to think, oh, I have an hour to myself while I'm driving. I can listen to whatever I like. I can think about whatever I want. I won't have any interruptions. This hour is for me. You've just reframed a negative event into a positive event. This is something you can learn to do on your own. And the more you do it, the more beneficial it becomes in helping you reduce the anxiety and see things through a different and more positive lens. So please try that. Seek help with problems. Remember, you're not alone. So many people are experiencing the same day-to-day stresses and anxieties that you are. So look to family, friends, as long as they're trusted individuals, to help guide you. So look for those people that you trust, people that you can confide in, to guide you and help you along the way. Make you feel like you're not the only one going through a situation. Professionals can help too. Therapy can have a very positive impact on your life. So if you see yourself or others going through any of those things that we've just talked about, request them to seek help. Be there for them. Whatever you feel is the right path to help them with, take that path. As long as your intention is to be helpful, you shouldn't shy away from it. Understanding and recognizing your body's stress responses and how to respond to those signals in new ways can help build the emotional, intellectual, and physical strength that includes resilience, which will help you tackle future stressors. This is such an important thing to do. So understand your body, listen to your body, respond to it in a healthy way. Enhance your emotional wellness. How do you do that? Well, remember your good deeds. Always give yourself credit for the good things you do for others each day. Don't forget those. Remind yourself of those things that you did that put a smile on somebody else's face. Forgive yourself. Everyone makes mistakes. What do? We hold on to them. Instead of holding on to them, learn from our mistakes, learn from what went wrong. Try not to do it again, but don't dwell on it. Don't hold on to it. Learn to forgive yourself. Spend time with your friends, family. Surround yourself with positive, healthy people. When you know if a family member that you're around causes you stress and doesn't really help you stay in a positive mindset, spend less time with that person. Take time out to recognize those that have a positive impact in your life and reach out to them more often. Explore your beliefs about the meaning and purpose of life. Think about how to guide your life by the principles that are important to you.
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Farhat.
Yes.
I have a 5 minute and a 10 minute, but I don't think you were seeing my little signs. Yeah. I want to thank you so much, but we do have a couple of questions here.
Absolutely.
And first of all, though, before, because we only have 10 minutes and I want to give you a chance to think, is there some books or a podcast series you can recommend to parents who are trying to keep themselves calm so that they can deal with their child that has anxiety? Because information is power, right?
Absolutely.
Do you have some suggestions you would give to us?
I can put together a list of suggestions and possibly give it to Samar or any of the Sabil staff that they can put on the site so that people can reach out to them and find that list of resources.
Perfect, because we also had some videos that were referenced by our last speaker that we would like to also attach to this seminar when we put it onto Sabil. Now, one of the questions that our parents had were, it's very difficult to say no to family. How do we not be disrespectful, but still get those boundaries up? What kind of tools can you give us for that?
That's actually a very difficult thing in our community, culture, traditions to be able to tackle. In order for us to understand how important it is to say no, we have to understand how important it is for us to take care of ourselves. So yes, it can feel that you're not living up to your responsibility if you're saying no to someone, but find tactful ways, depending on the situation, to be able to gently let someone down. It's a lot easier with children, a little bit more difficult with adults, parents, even friends. So you have to be able to see what is important, what is not so important, what can I put on the back burner, and what requires my immediate attention. So it'll have to happen on an assessment basis. As long as you know that you can spare some time to take care of yourself while you're dealing with others' needs, you'll be able to balance that. So there's not really any concrete answer to that. It's going to have to be on just the basis of whatever that issue may be. The most important thing is being able to take some time out of your day for taking care of you, because if you're taking care of yourself and your stresses, you're better able to handle somebody else's issues and problems.
I see.
So I hope that helps.
I see. It's always good when you're strengthened and you're fortified. That can't push you over that wind of immediateness.
Yeah.
I have one person say something. I know that I myself experienced a sense of failure when I had a youngster in my family who was dealing with anxiety, to the point where we had to take them to the hospital because their lips were blue from not breathing.
Yeah.
And so one person is saying, how do you solve the problem of that immediate attack, that anxiety attack in a young person, beside the deep breathing? And you also had mentioned perhaps it's environmental or diet related. Can you shed some light on that?
Yes, it can be environmental. The one thing that you want to do with children is begin to recognize their signs of anxiety, because it's very different for children in how they display their anxiety. Each child is unique. So begin to recognize and see what provokes that anxiety, what triggers anxiety in your child, and help them reduce some of those behaviors. And then look within yourself too, because sometimes we don't recognize it, but our behaviors will trigger anxiety in the child. So it's important to focus on yourself and control your own anxiety and stress so that the child doesn't play off of that. Once you recognize some of the triggers, you help them self-soothe. You help them find activities that stop the anxiety attack, the panic attack from becoming so overwhelming that it does need hospitalization. Sometimes it's as easy as putting on soothing music. Sometimes it's about diverting their attention and having them, do coloring or painting, get them involved in an activity so they're not thinking about whatever is driving their anxiety. And then you can, allow that time to pass and talk about whatever it was that was bothering them later on, so you can have a better understanding of where they were in that emotional state psychologically, so that you may help tackle those problems. Sometimes children don't realize it, and sometimes we don't even realize it, that there's a lot of subconscious stuff that comes up that's triggered by something, whether it's something environmental, something that they heard, something that you had said as a parent or grandparent, that will trigger a thought in them, and they'll start, just reliving that or thinking through that so much that they get anxious. So it's about diverting their attention.
There's another question that I think here in California, a lot of us parents are quite concerned about with the normalization of the use of marijuana. What do we do, or how can we handle our adult children who might start thinking it's okay to use this as a source of relaxation? Maybe from our culture where we come from, we're afraid of this maybe being a gateway to something else. Do you have suggestions for us? And these are adult children we're thinking about.
Okay. Well, even as professionals, even though it's been legalized, we still see it as a gateway to something else. This is actually, again, one of those things that's very difficult to tackle on just a generalized basis. It again goes to whatever that individual is feeling, whatever is going on with them. If you do have an adult child that you have recognized is using marijuana or any substance, best thing to do is begin to have a conversation with them. Have a loving, supportive conversation, not a judgmental conversation. You want them to begin to open up about their feelings. Talk to them about why this is, such an stress reliever for them, and help them gain other tools for stress relief other than going to marijuana or drug use, substance abuse of any type. Alcohol is also one of those issues that happens. So it's about connecting with that adult child at an adult level and helping them understand that there are other avenues than the wrong one that they've chosen, to be able to self-soothe and calm themselves.
Would you suggest some of those? Like maybe deciding to go camping together, or what would it be?
Absolutely, family activities do wonders. So that would be a great suggestion. Other things would be, having movie nights, getting them involved in the family interaction more, having more extended family involvement, more social interaction. And I know in this day and age, it's quite difficult with the pandemic to do that. But it is very important. So maybe, you know, more Zoom conversations with family members. Something that, you know, we, you know, as professionals didn't really recommend before last year, which was, you know, let's reduce social media, let's reduce, you know, have more face-to-face, you know, reduce the phone conversations and the texting. Now we encourage it. So encourage your children, you know, the young adults to have that socializing. Be okay with it.
Okay, thank you so much. Right on the nose. It is 12:55.
Wonderful.
You're up, my dear. This is our 5-minute break, everyone. Dr. Farhat, Jazakallah khair. We are going to ask you to please give us your contact information. I do have the contact information for Sakina up in our chat, but we would also like your information as well, just to add to our chat here, and also for those of us on Facebook. So you have, everyone, 4 minutes now to run off and get that cup of coffee or a glass of water or anything you want to do. And right at 1 o'clock, we will start our last half hour with Dr. Samar Aziz.
Thank you.
Samar, you want to put up the video? Thank you again, Dr. Farhat.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna share the screen. You don't need this one.
No. It's not speaking.
Oh, I haven't started it yet.
Oh, let's
They're
see.
on a break.
Okay. Well, you know, there is another. I think there's another. Okay, this one, I think this was changed.
Is this not the video?
No, this is the video. I'm just saying areas of buffer at the end and put this video. Okay, so maybe I just sent it to myself. Can I save this or it'll fine?
That video, you want to play it at the very end?
Very end.
Okay, so we can probably open it up afterwards. I'm just nervous because this
Yeah,
is
we're
going
gonna
to
do-
start.
okay.
We should be starting. It's about to be done. So at 2 o'clock, I have to log on to a meeting. Okay, so I would just go into
Yeah, you can go next door. So,
next door.
yeah, okay. It's not excused.
Okay.
Okay, assalamu alaikum, everyone. It is exactly the top of the hour, 1 o'clock with Sabil in our wellness program. We'd like to start off with a little bit more about Sabil, and Samar has something to share with us.
Okay.
Can you see our screen?
Yes, it's full screen.
Okay.
Did you share with the best direct? It's not that we don't hear the sound.
Is it really low or you just can't hear the sound at all?
Nothing at all.
Speaker, how do switch? Microphone, same system, same system. Where did you suggest where the sharing for the audio would be?
I do Google Classroom now, so I'm out of the Zoom phase. Teacher mode. Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. With the video, the client, this is somebody from our community that has needed support with rental support and food. And that's what we provided her is rental support and food, come to our food pantry, and also with furniture. So she just came to Sabil to really appreciate the amount of work that we do and to thank everybody and to also let our community know that with your support and with your donations that we can help other people. To donate to Sabil, you can just go to give.sabil.us and I'll put it in the chat. And what it does is that monthly small donations really will help to support organizations and programs that we're doing right now. I would like to thank Naziha for really leading this program and pushing it to get it happen within 72 hours, because without her support and determination, we would never be able to have gotten Dr. Farhat, who's always busy, and Dr. Noha at the same time to be able to present for this program. And we have a lot of people behind the scenes. You have Karima, who has helped. You have Hanan, her daughter, has helped. Sama, who's put the flyer together and edited the flyer during the holiday seasons. You have Victoria next to me, supporting me. You have Fatima helping. It's an awesome part to be part of service. And what I'm going to talk about today is really mindset. And it goes with it's coincidentally that it worked out with Noha and Farhat's talk, because every day I have a ritual after in the morning. I do my prayers and I do my meditations, and then I sit down and read a book. So what I decided to do this time, because it's going to be the end of 2020, and we want to start a new chapter for 2021. So somebody had recommended this book, and it's Mindset, and it is by Carol Dweck. And what she talks about is really what Dr. Farhat and what Noha talk about, is really understanding ourselves, understanding our minds. I have a little magnet that says, unleash your inner sparkle, that I have on my refrigerator. And I love to pick up these little magnets sometimes, because what it is that all and every one of us has a sparkle in ourselves. We're born with certain traits and certain attributes. However, these traits and these attributes are not defining us. They are just prerequisite to everything else we want to have in life. So it's very important to always be learning, always be expanding yourself. And the book talks about the growth mindset and the fixed mindset. The growth mindset is about challenges. It's about looking at failures as not failures, the way Dr. Noha talked about. Looking at opportunities, always growing. The fixed mindset is telling ourselves that we are fine the way we are, and I don't want challenges, because if I have challenges, I am going to be a failure. So it really looks at, especially sports. Like we look at sports and we look at, the best sports in the field with soccer, with tennis, with golf, and we see how much people grow in the area of sports and they grow in the area of sciences. And yet when it comes to ourselves, we don't want to challenge ourselves. And we're afraid to do this. The other thing is really to work on your mind and to be able to think positive. And during the era of 2020, it's been a tough year that everybody talks about the negative that happened in 2020. And the positive side of 2020 is that we spent time with our families. We started cooking more at home. We started, going back to the family unit of being home, decluttering. We didn't go out shopping. So that whole materialism that was in our culture has died down a little, because we are comfortable wearing the same clothes, the same headscarf, the same handbags, that our materialism status has changed, even though we're able to go to Amazon and purchase from Amazon. However, I know in my household, we were not getting a lot of Prime Amazon that much, except on Giving Tuesday when people were shopping. Again, you can support Sabil by having Sabil as an Amazon smile, and every time you're purchasing from Amazon, 0.5% goes to Sabil as well. So mindset is so important. So I'm going to take you on a journey with me. I want you to close your eyes. If you're not driving, that's okay. Just pull aside, or you can do it later. However, close your eyes and imagine holding half an orange in your hand. Feel that texture of the orange. Hold the orange to your nose and smell the orange. Feel, the unevenness of that cover of the orange that you have in your hands. And then go inside and feel that liquidy part of the orange that you have. And then all of a sudden, just take that orange and put it in your mouth and squeeze that liquid into your mouth. And what do you feel? How do you, what is the sensation that you have when you put that squeezed orange in your mouth? It's really beautiful, because you get that sour, you get that sweet, tender feeling that you have. Now, put your hands down and open your eyes, and just put in the chat, or just imagine that you actually felt an orange. You felt that sweet orange in your hands. You felt the sweet orange in your mouth, and you salivating that now I want to go have an orange. So mind plays a big role in our life. Our belief systems play a big role. So it's very crucial to be able to watch what we're thinking. And that definitely stops the watching television, because sometimes watching television or being with negative people around you, that influences the way we think. So I have another magnet on my refrigerator that says, to think is to create. So if you're thinking positive thoughts and you're thinking happy thoughts, and potential things that you can achieve, you will create what you want based on what your thoughts of what you can be. We are human beings and we're created with certain attributes, yet, however, we can change and we can become by having coaches. You know, I have a coach. Dr. Farhat is my coach when I need her. Dr. Noha is my coach that I need her. So Ziha is my coach. I have my great family, my parents, my husband, they're coaches. So it's very important to rely on friends that will always challenge you to do something more, not just to tell you whatever you're doing is okay. I know I'm, working with a group of friends to be able to shed some pounds before the new year, and we're supporting each other. Every day we're reporting our weight and we're supporting each other. And when we get low and feeling that we can't accomplish it, we're supporting each other to get that. So if you're creating an image, and like Dr. Farhat said, to be able to create it and affect your body, because all our thoughts will affect our bodies, all our thoughts will affect what we're doing. And it's important to be around our children and exposed to them that your belief system makes a difference. When you want to relax, is going to that meditation. When you want to relax, is going to that prayers to be able to handle some of the issues that we're having, not just watching television or playing or gaming on the TV. So right now, during the holidays and during the time where we have our children home, let's take the opportunities of what Dr. Noha said and Farhat. It's like, let's go out for a walk. Let's go out and try something new. Go for a different, I'm going out and watching Christmas lights. I just love the festivities of seeing lights in the neighborhood and doing that. Finding music, putting music on that we can get that festive attitude in the house. So being able to connect with friends, even if we can't visit our friends, connect with them and say, okay, Saturday at 8 o'clock, let's have a Zoom meeting, and being able to talk to each other. So the idea is to be able to stretch our mind and having our brain is constantly working and not being in that mindset that we're not able to grow. We have to be able to understand whether we're acting on a fixed mindset or we're acting in a growth mindset. They've done studies and they've showed young children, they gave them puzzles. The children loved the puzzles so much that when the doctor or the researcher would ask them, do you want the same puzzle? The children would say, what are you talking about? I don't want the same puzzle. I want a different puzzle. I want to be challenged. I already know how to do this puzzle. And they found out the children who were really, really smart, but they don't want to grow. They don't want additional puzzle. They want to succeed at what they're doing at the same time. So it's important for us, and God teaches us that education doesn't stop at a certain age, that we'll always have to be conquering and learning and changing our neurons in our system to be able to grow. So there's an opportunity to get a puzzle and put it in the living room and have every day somebody come and put a little piece on, and that would really help, because there is a saying that the earth is inherited by the learners. The learned will not inherit the earth. So, which means that all of us are constantly learning, and these are the people that inherit the earth, and the learned would not be part. The other saying is that Rome was not built in a day. Try again. If you don't succeed, try again. So all these sayings about challenging, it's about really informing us that it's constantly opportunity for us to grow and, stress will be with it. Believe me, putting this event together was a lot of energy and a lot of work and a lot of dedication and a lot of and a lot of heart put inside. And I think we learned a lot. We learned that we don't know things, and we learned to rely on other people to help us. And that's what teamwork comes up, and the power of people working together to get it done. So my just advice, and based on my research and my education, is constantly learning, constantly be stretching yourself. And if you need help, there's lots of resources. We have Dr. Farhat, who's very, very busy. However, she always makes time to see people. Dr. Noha is extremely busy, but again, she sees time to see other people. We have IGNA Relief, where students are constantly learning to be able to support other people. So you're not alone, and the power of us working together, the power of your mind, is to make a difference. The other magnet that I have on me, on my refrigerator, if it's to be, it's up to me. And I really love this saying. If it's to be, it's up to me. Nobody's gonna do the work for us. Nobody's gonna do the hard work for us. It's important for us to get the work done. It's important for us to schedule in our days happiness for us, and taking time for us, and taking time for our children. I think yesterday my son realized I was stressed between texting and reading at the same time. And he says, "You're really stressed right now. Why are you really stressed?" So I wasn't aware that I was stressed, but kids notice us. They really know what we're doing, and they get to know the energy that we have around the house. So it's important as leaders to recognize that energy that we have, and just relax and sit down and go do our prayers or do our meditations to rechange that energy in the house, so they can be able to habitat it as much as we do. This is a great book. I would love to talk about it again next time, because there isn't much time to discuss it, but it is a book. It's about stretching our mind and being able to look at our husbands, look at our children, and ask them questions, and really say, would you like to be smart, or would you like to be able to learn and not be smart in certain things, and learn it and then be smart at it? I think I had the mindset of I wanted to be smart. I didn't want to show people my faults. However, as I get older and I'm more comfortable where I am, I'm able to say, you know what? I don't know how to do this. I'm okay with this. I'm going to rely on my victim to help me. I'm going to rely on Karima. I'm going to call Dr. Farhat and say, I just can't do it. So it's good to be able to be authentic, to be vulnerable, and realize that we're here on earth. And I heard Dr. Jamal Duane say this in a lecture in San Diego. We're here on earth with a certain amount of breaths. And every time we exhale that breath, that's one breath that's gone away from us. So it's important to be able to breathe and really recognize every minute that we're doing that breath is affecting us, and it's really encouraging us and nurturing us for us to do this. So that ends my talk. So Karima, if you have any questions, if anybody has any questions in the audience, I would be happy to take it.
Well, I can tell you that everyone agrees with the, if it's meant to be, it's up to me, or be the change that you'd like to see. I always said that to my children when I was growing up. And I have to tell you, when I became Muslim, I was about 26 or 27. And I come from a Catholic background and a Protestant background, where the preacher's wife is someone special, and she doesn't really, you don't really see her down in the choir room dusting or cleaning. And I remember as a young Muslim, I was at a mosque, and the imam's wife was cleaning the bathroom. And I said, wait a minute. Wait, I'll do that for you. She goes, no. I don't want anyone to do something I'm not willing to do myself. That was such a beautiful thing for me to see as a young Muslim. And I later on as a teacher, she taught me things like, she never shouted. I had a whistle. She's like, no, if you want the kids to be quiet, whisper, because then they have to lower their voices to actually hear what you're saying. So that's the comment. I don't see any questions except for one. And Dr. Farhat, I think you're still here. Everyone is really anxious to know your contact information. I got something off the internet that says that you're at East Canyon Rim, Suite 215. Is that it? And then the phone number is 714-910-7785.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So everyone who asked for that, I have put it in the chat here. I will again copy paste it and put it into the Facebook chat as well. Okay. Again, no questions. I would like to just say that thank you to all of our speakers. All three of them were fantastic. Wouldn't it be nice though to hear a little bit more about the programs that Sabil has in mind or in store for you next year? And I think I'd like to bring Naziha back to talk a little bit more about her vision for the community, what we'd like to offer for the community. And if you want us to stay in contact with you, please drop your address in the chat here on here in Zoom, or again, a chat in Facebook, okay? Because us staying in contact with you helps the community to grow and become stronger. And we're here to provide for everyone. It's like Samar was saying earlier, we're not an individual, we're a village. And as a village, we're stronger. And I also just want to point out to you, my passion is outdoor education. And I just have joined a company in Orange County that gives outdoor education for children. What I mean is the kids are learning about the environment by being in the environment. And isn't that what they're telling us to do now in COVID, is to be outside? They have small groups and they take no more than 10 people. They have to wear their mask, kids, right? And they're outside. I'm doing this myself in the Inland Empire. You can do it yourself. Just take a piece of tape, masking tape, and put it around both your kids' wrists like bands, right? Put the sticky side outside, right? And have them go on a walk with you. Watch what they pick up and stick on those tapes. They will come back full with little tiny rocks and little tiny beads and acorn heads and pieces of leaves that were red and green and brown. They will be so excited and they will be hanging on your fridge. Go ahead and you know what? Don't make it a, mom and dad. One day mom, one day dad. So you can all experience that joy differently, because he'll share or she will share hers or her environment with the dad different than the mom. So everybody get that special time with your children and get out there, walk. Just even on a sidewalk neighborhood. It's great if you can get out to the parks. It's great if you can get out on a hike. But if you can't, even sidewalks have something beautiful. Naziha, would you give us some more information about what you'll do next year?
Sure. And I want to thank you, Karima. You have been a wonderful moderator. I love you. We all love you. Samar is so inspiring. I love working with you, Samar. We have a wonderful team. I want to talk about my dream. Everything starts with a dream, but then if you work on this dream and you visualize it, then you can make it reality. And before I talk about my vision for next year, programs with the help of the community, of course, I want to just share something. A month ago, or actually 2 months ago, I thought about a project of garage sale. Maybe it sounds, what a garage sale, I believe in recycling, and thank God the community here with me in Corona, I live in Corona, they believe in that too. And I told them, okay, let's do a project of garage sale that it should bring over $10,000. And we started collecting for a couple of weeks, and mashallah, we got so much amount of stuff that it could fill a warehouse, big warehouse. And we have someone wonderful who opened her house for that. All her house was full of stuff. We did it with distancing, with mask. I have videos. It was great. And we did, it's not only about the garage sale that we raised. We did 4 garage sales. Probably we didn't do the $12,000 from those 4 garage sales, but we recycled one garage sale to the other, and we came up with half the amount, and we got generous people who match every single garage sale. All what I want to say, every little thing matters. This will go to the programs to improve more programs for the mental health, who I believe so strongly. And I started my journey over 4 years ago. And I know I'm emotional, I'm sorry. I lost my son due to mental illness. And I made it my vision and dream to help everybody. And those programs, by the way, it's not just to help the people who are suffering, because usually they don't confess. Rarely, it takes so much effort from loved ones to help them through the road. But when we get the education, when parents get the education, even grandparents, thank you, Noha, for bringing so many points as role model, as grandparent, what to do with our grandchildren. So everyone, whether parent or friends sometimes they are more powerful than parents to recognize what their friend going through and lead them along the way for recovery. So all these, it's really, we need much more donations to make so many successful programs. And we are so thankful to our speakers that they did not charge us. I have to say that, to thank them even more from our heart, both Dr. Farhat and Noha. They are amazing, God bless them. But all those programs takes lots of efforts and money to keep it running. So any little thing matters, any dollar matters. It doesn't matter, you think it's little, and go ahead. I order 2-3 times a week from Amazon. I didn't know about a Smile program, so please join Amazon Smile. Percentage goes to Sabil. And, little by little, we can make miracles. Did I go over my time?
No, darling, no.
Did I go over my time?
Remind us about Smile. Please tell us about the programs you hope, monthly programs that you're thinking to put on.
Okay. My dream is to have monthly program with great therapists and educationals, people that they can really add a lot to our life and knowledge. And it will be confidential, because people, they open up when they know their names. That's why thank God for Zoom for now, because we can make it, and you will help people, professionals like Victoria, they can help make it confidential. So no names, they can be a group, like sharing on Zoom and asking any questions, and it will be focused each time on specific program. But those who are interested, please share your name and info. It will be confidential to Karima, and write down what you are interested to talk about. There's so many things, and depression, and I mean, there's so many, suicide, there's so many subjects that we have stigma. We don't want to talk about it. And we have to bring it to the surface to treat it. So we are there for you. I'm so happy. I'm part of Sabil. Thank you, Samar. Thank you, Karima. I mean, Samar, she is wonderful person to work with. I love you so much, Samar. And Karima, I've known you for 35 years now, 32
Yes, my
years,
dear.
31 years.
You're
Okay.
giving away my age. Shh. We met when I was 1.
I'm blessed. When you were a toddler, exactly.
right.
I'm blessed to know you. I love you. And thank you all for sharing this program, all the audience. Thank you so much.
And it because it is a community project, anyone can have an idea. And just when Samar was sharing her book, wouldn't it be wonderful if maybe every 2 months we had a book club? Because most of us are so busy, unless there's a reason, we're not going to pick up a book. But if we have, we're going to meet so-and-so on such and such a day, let's read this and let's be part of that community. I really appreciate everyone coming. We had nearly our ceiling. We had 97 people and our ceiling is 100. So thank you, everyone. And by the way, you were from all over the world. I see one of my friends from England here, and I very much appreciate you. You know who you are. Mwah. So I am grateful for everyone coming. We will do this again. We will serve the community specifically. If you send in a topic that you want, no topic is off limit here. This is about supporting everything from mental health issues to family issues to living issues, your food, your rent. If you need rent support, come to Sabil. We'll see what we can do for you. There are programs available. www.sabil.us. When it's the website, it's .us. When you go to Facebook or Instagram, it's sabil.usa, or not even dot, it's Sabil USA. Okay, everyone? Thank you very much for coming. Samar, did you want to close it out with anything?
No, my closeout is always, I'm grateful and alhamdulillah that we have such a great.
Can someone give us a little prayer to sign out on? My Arabic is not good enough for that.
I don't know, Naziha, can you say something?
Naziha, can you give us a prayer to sign out on? I think your iPad went black.
Okay, all right, okay. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر اللهم اجعل جمعنا هذا جمعا مباركا وتفرقنا تفرقا مرحوما اللهم آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Thank you very much, everyone. Ameen. And we'll see you again next month.
Yes, and we ended exactly at 1:31. That's excellent.
I'm doing my best. Love you all. Mwah. Ma salama.
Awesome.